Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really profound. It's a psychological blueprint, a system for self-assessment that's, well, thousands of years old.
And it offers this incredibly powerful ancient Indian voice on, human nature itself.
Exactly. We are looking at excerpts from chapter 16 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Specifically through the lens of commentary provided by Dharmendra Bhatia.
Yeah.
And this isn't just philosophy for the sake of it.
Right.
This is Krishna delivering a direct, really practical guide on two competing types of human temperament.
So our mission for this deep dive is to clearly define this fundamental division. You've got the divine nature, or Daivi Sampada, on one side.
And the Asuric nature, Asuriya Sampada, on the other.
And by the end of this, you should have a clear framework to see these traits in the world and, maybe more importantly, within yourself.
Think of it as an ancient mirror. The text is designed to help you see your own inherent tendencies so you know which seeds to weed out and which virtues you really need to cultivate for any kind of genuine evolution.
Okay, let's unpack that divine blueprint then. What is the foundation of the Daivi Sampada? Krishna starts with something that honestly seems a little surprising.
Fearlessness.
The ultimate absence of fear. The source calls it Bhai ka sarvatha aphav.
And it is surprising, isn't it? Because we often confuse courage with fearlessness. Courage is acting despite fear.
This is different.
This is a state of being. The text is very clear that fear arises entirely from attachment.
Attachment to what, though? To things.
To things, yes, but also to fleeting desires, to the material world, and especially attachment to the physical body. That's where the fear of death comes from.
So if you can truly tell the difference between Sat, the truth, the permanent reality, and Asat, the temporary illusion,
then you're free from those bonds and the fear just dissolves. It's a philosophical freedom, not, just a psychological trick.
and that freedom then allows for other inner traits to develop.
Precisely. High among them is the purity of the inner self, antakarana. This is defined by freedom from what you could call the big five vices.
Lust, anger, greed.
Right, kama, krodha, lopa, but also delusion, moha, and those base attachments, ragadvesha.
That sounds like a monumental task. I mean, almost superhuman. Is the text saying this is an absolute requirement, or is it more of a direction to aim for?
It's a destination, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the path starts with something they call samatva.
Which means?
It means steadfastness
Yeah.
and even-mindedness. You stay balanced no matter what the results of your actions are, no matter who is around you or what situation you find yourself in.
How can someone...
First, there's Dhamma, or self-control. And this isn't suppression. It's about using your senses like finely tuned tools. Rather than being ruled by them, the intellect is in charge.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you have tapas, or austerity. But again, it's not about self-punishment. It means cheerfully enduring the hardships on your path.
And what about yajna? We usually think of that as a fire sacrifice, but it's defined much more broadly here, right?
Much broader. It signals selfless contribution.
Mm.
It can include ritual, sure, but it really emphasizes actions that uphold the natural order, that fulfill your duties based on your station in life. That's the Varna Ashrama idea. And even internal acts like breath control, pranayama.
It's about recognizing that all action has to serve something higher than just you.
Exactly.
I really appreciate the simplicity of one of the other virtues, Saralada. The definition is so clear. The intellect, mind, and speech are straight. No deceit, no hypocrisy.
Total coherence.
Yeah.
And that coherence is the source of real integrity. Which brings us to some of the lesser-known virtues. Take apashanam.
What's that one?
It means not finding fault or speaking ill of others. No backbiting, no gossip.
That's a challenging one to maintain in, well, any modern context.
Absolutely. Then there's laja. It's often translated as modesty, but here it means a kind of moral hesitation.
Like a good kind of shame.
Sort of. It's the shame you'd feel when you're even contemplating an action that goes against established wisdom, against the scriptures. It's an internal moral compass.
And what about teja, the brilliance or radiance?
That's the outer glow of all these inner qualities. It's the aura born from spiritual strength. And importantly, this person has no excessive pride, atiman aphav. They don't crave worship just because they're smart or wealthy.
It's a complete package.
As Ramanujacharya summarized it, divas follow God's command, asuras act against it. It's that simple.
So let's turn that mirror around.
Yeah.
If the divine nature is all about cultivating freedom and coherence, what happens when we do the opposite? Krishna defines the Asuri Sampada, and it starts with rejecting that internal coherence.
Yes. The first manifest trait is damba hypocrisy, showmanship. It's displaying qualities or devotion or even possessions that you don't actually have.
That really hits home today, doesn't it? I mean, you could almost say social media is structurally designed to reward Dampa.
It is. It's all about displaying a perfect life without the underlying purity. And this is coupled with DARPA,
Hmm.
or arrogance, pride that comes from external things like wealth or your family line or your education.
It's a projection to hide an insecurity.
Absolutely. And then there is Parushya harshness.
This one feels really crucial. The source defines it as cruelty and rudeness in speech and action. It's the total failure of ahimsa, of nonviolence.
Yes. And these insensitive words and actions, they all stem from an internal state of ajnana, ignorance, the inability to tell truth from untruth.
But the real core of the Azuric temperament is their worldview, isn't it? This Gnostica perspective.
That's the bedrock. They deny the existence of Ishwar, of God, of any higher intelligence at all.
So what are the implications of that denial, if there's nothing out there?
Well, they believe the world is without a foundation, Ashraya Rahita. They see it as entirely false, Sarvatha Asatya, and that it arises only from the conjunction of male and female.
That's a purely biological accident, in their view.
Exactly. Their conclusion is so stark, so reductive. Their thinking is only lust, is the cause.
Wow. That completely strips away any kind of moral or spiritual accountability, doesn't it? If there's no soul, no karmic law.
Then pleasure becomes the only rational pursuit. It's ancient nihilism. And that mindset, the text says, leads to destruction. Because they deny the sacredness of life, they are called enemies of the world.
They use their power, their capabilities, solely for self-interest.
Yes. The text points right to the thoughtless exploitation of nature and other beings, using up resources without a second thought because, to them, nothing is sacred.
And what's fascinating is that the internal experience isn't freedom, it's torture. The source gives this remarkable look inside the Azuric mind, saying it's consumed by numberless anxieties that end only with death.
And that's because sensual enjoyment is their highest goal. They are bound by hundreds of hopeful snares. The internal script is this constant loot of boasting and accumulation.
Like a narcissistic monologue.
Totally. I acquired this today. I will achieve that desire. I am God, all-powerful. I am rich, who is like me. And the text warns that even if they perform religious acts, it's only for show. It's dhamma, pure pride, never genuine devotion.
It sounds like the final act of hostility is actually directed inward against the very truth that they're trying to suppress.
It is. They despise the inner dweller, the Antarameshvara, residing within their own bodies and in others. They have to suppress that knowledge, because accepting a higher order would immediately get in the way of their ego and their endless desires.
So we've laid out the two paths. Daivi Sampada leads to mukti, liberation. Asuri Sampada leads to banthan, or bondage. For you, the listener, trying to figure this out and choose that path of liberation, what is the single most critical step?
It's eliminating the root cause. Krishna is crystal clear on this. The foundation of all sinful actions, he says, are the three doors to hell, Naraka Trividwar.
And these are absolute barriers.
They must be abandoned completely.
Which are?
Number 1, kama, uncontrolled desire. Number 2, krodha, anger. And number 3, lobha, greed.
And they're all intertwined, aren't they? Desire seems to drive the whole process.
Absolutely. It's a self-sustaining, destructive cycle. Desire, kama, starts it all. If that desire is thwarted, it instantly turns into anger, krodha.
Okay.
But if the desire is fulfilled, it creates greed, lobha.
Yeah.
Because the fulfillment just confirms the delusion that external things bring happiness, which leads you to want more and more.
So these three are the destroyers of the soul, leading to that downward path, autogardiai. And the text doesn't say moderate them.
No, it just abandon them. It's a radical requirement for Kalyan, for spiritual welfare. The person who abandons these three dark doors and acts according to principle, they attain the supreme destination.
Which brings us to the final crucial question. How do you figure out what the correct principled action is?
Right.
This is where the Gita really challenges a lot of modern self-help philosophy. We live in an age where the main advice is do what feels right or follow your heart.
But the Gita mandates a higher authority. It says the fatal flaw of the Azuric temperament is acting arbitrarily, ignoring the methods prescribed in the Shastra.
The Shastra being the established wisdom, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita itself.
Exactly. And Krishna states that if you act without that guidance, you attain neither success nor the supreme destination nor happiness. It's a direct refutation of that immature philosophy of just following your impulses.
The implication being that the heart and mind, especially when they're being driven by desire, anger, and greed, are just not reliable guides.
They're not. They're subject to delusion, to moha. The text makes it absolutely clear that the Shastra is the only authority, the pramana, for determining right action versus wrong action.
Well, I love the context from the commentators on this. If follow your heart was the answer, the Gita would have ended after chapter 1. Krishna would just said, Arjuna, do what feels right to you.
Instead, he delivers this whole discourse to show that the mind must be guided by wisdom, by the Shastra, to act based on the correct principle, the tattva. It's the difference between two ideas, Preya and Shreya.
Kriya being what feels good right now, the easy choice.
Exactly. And Shreya being what is objectively good for your long-term welfare and liberation. The Azuric temperament always chooses Preya.
While the Devi temperament chooses Shreya even when it's hard because it's guided by wisdom.
That's the whole framework in a nutshell.
This has been a profoundly insightful deep dive. We've established these two crystal clear psychological paths. Devi, built on fearlessness, purity, and self-control, leading to liberation, versus Asuri, defined by hypocrisy, arrogance, and endless desire, leading to bondage.
And the power of this ancient framework is just its utility. It's a moral and psychological mirror to help you figure out your own path forward.
And here is a final provocative thought for you to mull over. Krishna defines Purusha harshness and cruelty as a core Azuric trait born from ignorance, ajnana. When we use our ability, our wealth, our education, our power purely to pursue our own desires, and we exploit others or the environment without a conscience, are we not demonstrating that ancient form of ignorance? How often do we rationalize our actions as necessary business or just the way the world works when maybe they're just one of those three gates of hell disguised in modern clothes?
Something to think about as you navigate your choices this week. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
We'll see you next time.